Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful episode of Two Drink Maximum. I'm your host, Chase.
I'm your other host, Shane.
We are joined by a wonderful guest today, Joshua Bronfman, who has got a very special drink and a very special invention that he's created for us. So we're very excited to get to learn a little bit about that. So my first question for you, Josh, is one, what are we drinking? And then two, I hear tell you also sometimes go by Rick. Could you tell us a little bit about that, if that's the case or something true for you?
Oh, man. Well, yeah. So today we've got the classic old fashioned. Don't get to drink these very often, but when I go out with the wife, it's always nice to have one. So figured this would be a good one to share with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a classic standard drink, but it's delicious for a reason. So cheers. Let's take a sip.
Yeah, cheers, guys.
Take a sip. Cheers to you.
Let me ask you, with an old fashioned, oh, mine's good, by the way, not to brag. I made mine myself, but it was delicious. It's very, when you kind of go out, do you, is that kind of your standard drink? Like if you're going to a new bar or restaurant, like if my opinion on the old fashioned is if you can do the old fashioned right, I have faith that you can kind of do everything else right, you know?
Absolutely. And I feel like I can tell pretty quickly on whether it comes with a single cube or a handful of cubes. Like when you've got that nice, square cube, or a lot of places are doing their little stamps in there now. I'm like, okay, I think I have some trust in you guys.
If they're stamping ice, that's a pretty fancy place. So that's a good spot to be.
Sure.
Yeah, those copper molds that make them nice and perfectly spherical, or they put like their initials in it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's kind of the fun thing, is that it's a pretty standard drink, so there's a lot of room to kind of improve on it and play with it. So
hard to mess up too. So like you said, if you're not doing that right, then I might go to a different place.
Exactly. But yeah, so like we mentioned a little bit earlier, I mean, so we've heard that in certain circles that you kind of, I mean, your name is Josh, but you go by Rick in certain circles, and we wanted to hear kind of the backstory on that.
Man, you guys dug deep. I love it. Rick was kind of a funny thing that came up in college, actually, with some college buddies. It was a name, it was a persona that we kind of all took on a little bit, right? Hey, Rick, what's up, Rick? How's it? It kind of just morphed into that. And after college, I actually, my dad and I started a motorcycle racing professional team and coaching school. A lot of people just kind of do their last, like Anderson Racing or something, benign of that matter. And we want to do something a little bit more poppy. So we actually called our team Ridiculous Racing.
That's awesome.
And we're big, I'm from LA originally, so big Laker fans. So we're all purple and gold. And when we had people come to the school or people that were kind of involved in the program, we're like, oh, welcome to the Rick family, right? So it just kind of became this family atmosphere. It was funny back in the day, as you say that, I had somebody come into the school and, hey, Josh, nice to meet you. It's so good to, we're kind of getting them checked in. And then I got an email later that was like, hey, it was great to come, but I was really disappointed I didn't meet Rick. And I was like, oh, sorry about that, man. Everybody's Rick here. So yes, Rick was a moniker of the past I haven't used in a long time, but a lot of great memories in that world.
It seems to embody adventurousness and learning, and I guess a lot of motocross. Can you talk about what it was like running that school for a little bit?
Yeah, so we were actually road racing. So we were all on street bikes on closed tracks. I mean, that was one of the coolest things. I didn't grow up riding motorcycles or doing anything like that. I actually, motorcycles were not the safest of conversations at home growing up. And
sounds like you grew up in my house too, where there was that was off the table. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of people ride motorcycles? Stupid people. So I actually, after college, I moved to DC, and I'm not sure if you spent much time there, but driving a car in DC is atrocious. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get a motorcycle. And came home, and after having this thing parked in my garage, trying to warm the family up a little bit, was like, so guys, I'm thinking about buying a motorcycle. And it wasn't the extreme reaction that I thought. And the funny thing was that, my mom did actually grow up riding motorcycles. And so she kind of was, like nudge to my dad, was like, I'd sit on the back of a motorcycle. And he was like, wait, what are you talking about? And so we got involved doing this. It was called Yamaha Champions Racing School. And so it was kind of a, like how people do a Porsche driving school or something like that. It was more of just, hey, trying to get people on a track to do something, to learn how to ride safely.
Nice.
Um, and we caught the bug pretty heavily. And so at a certain point, we were on the road 200 days a year
Wow.
between the professional series, between our coaching. So yeah, it was pretty fun. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. I think it's kind of unique that it's almost like the school came at the same time as your kind of interest and desire for motorcycles, right? It wasn't like you were a professional rider beforehand and then you started the school. It's interesting that it was kind of the chicken before the egg type deal, which I think is kind of unique.
Yeah, and the cool thing was, I mean, I think even something that I take in now, I mean, with motorcycles, it's that always be learning moniker, right? I mean,
Mm.
everything, every corner, every aspect of riding, you can always be learning. And so coincidentally, this Yamaha school at the time was just closing up. And so my dad and I said, well, what could we do to kind of take the reins from the school and maybe continue to do it, but in a little bit of a different way. And so the cool thing was, because of the contacts we had at the school, we instantly got a ton of professional racers
Mm.
to come to the school. And so I was lucky enough to be riding with, guys that are fast as shit. And so
Right.
I
Yeah.
I learned really quickly. And so, it's kind of it's like almost anything, the more you do it, the better you get. And when you do things with people that are better than you, you get better. The only problem with motorcycles is the learning experience comes with crashing.
Mm.
So through injuries and repairing bikes, by the end of the tenure, I was racing as well, um, which was hard. I'm 6'3", so
Oh
uh,
man.
as a big dude, I've got these 5'6", 5'7" guys just whizzing past me.
Yeah, you got a big profile on the track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was a good sail, good drafting. Um, so yeah, it was a fun, really cool time.
That's funny. It sounds like I would fare worse than you. I'm 6'5", so I've got no chance if you were all dragging at
You,
6'3". Yeah.
you can do ATVs, maybe, Shane.
Oh man, I kind of embodied that, like pro cyclists, right? Like I'm on a road bike all the time. I was down to 165 pounds, trying
Mm.
to do everything I could. And on bikes, it's 7 pounds is 1 horsepower. So, even at 165, if these guys are 130, I, I have no chance, right? We
Mm.
go to the straightaway and they go right past me. So, yeah, I'm 230 now. So those light days
Those
of
days are gone. Yeah. Well, I mean, doing the research on the school, I mean, I think the thing that is so cool is that it seems very clear that you were able to kind of look at the landscape of racing schools and say, frankly, I don't think this is good enough, right? Or that there's a hole in the market for this, and we need to make a school that is better, right? That makes some improvements. I would just be curious to hear, kind of your thoughts on that research and how detailed you guys went, because it seems like you guys went to almost the extreme to make sure that you had a school that was very fine tuned for specific riders' needs. What was that process like, kind of doing the research to develop a school that was different than what was out there?
Yeah, how'd you make a better school?
Yeah, it was one of those, you kick the snowball down the hill, and by the time it gets to the bottom, it's causing an avalanche. So again, at the school, we were lucky enough to team up with the head coaches that were already in that prior program. And so a lot of the research was my dad and I going to them and saying, if you could do a school, like what would you do? What would be your perfect um, iteration of something like this? And the biggest thing was quality time, right? When you're on the track, every lap counts, every minute counts. So running a track, being at the track is expensive. And so the school that we went to was more of a you had a bunch of groups. There were probably 5 or 6 riders per coach, and you're trying to follow them around the track, and you're just not getting the personal experience, right? Like rider 1 might be not as confident as rider 4 or 5, and so not everyone was getting what they needed out of it. Um, so what we decided to do was do pure one-on-one coaching. Pretty phenomenal what you can do one-on-one with the coach. We had, like I said, we kind of went all out. I mean, we had 2 semi trucks, we had a bunch of bikes, we had the latest data software. So we could work with somebody. We got people who essentially had never ridden a motorcycle before, and we were able to bring them up to being a competent rider. Guys who were pretty much like, I want to go ride on the street. I want to go on touring trips with my buddies. Please help me be more confident. All the way up to guys who are like, I'm trying to win the AMA championship. Like, this is
Right.
my goal, is to be a champion. So to be able to pair people not only with different coaches, but different pathways, and really focus on them. So I mean, at the end of the day, that original school would probably have, I don't know, between 35 and 40 people on track at a
Hmm.
time. And again,
Wow.
all different skill level. And if you wanted to be on the track for 6, 7 hours a day, if you could handle that, we're with you.
Hmm.
So I think it was that personal touch that we really wanted to embody. Like, how can we really help you be the rider that you want to be? And I think we were able to accomplish that, which was really fun.
It sounds incredible. It sounds like you did a lot of really good work for people, and taught people a lot of useful things, at least how to be safe and comfy on a motorcycle, because that sounds like that's step one. And then you can worry about the speed as it comes. So I'm curious how we move from that loud, crazy sport and teaching people to ride bikes on open roads into helping children sleep. How did you begin that transition into inventing the dreamer?
Yeah, that quite the transition, right? From cycles to sleep aids. Well, I stopped riding. We stopped kind of our whole program in 2019. I met my wife in 2020. We had our first son at the middle of 22. And like you said, the dreamer was never something that was like, this is my goal. I want to do this with life. But we had so we live in Phoenix, right? And so he was born in June. And I don't know if you've been to Phoenix in the summer, but it is hot.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could literally melt an egg, like fry an
Mhm.
egg on the sidewalk out there.
Yeah,
It's
like,
hot.
5 in the morning, it's still 95 degrees. So bringing a newborn out is hard. So we decided to go out to California for a couple months. We're in a rental house. And the whole rage is, you got to get a sound machine. Like, you have, like, it will save your life. And so we took the advice of some friends. We bought a product, and second or third night in this new house, we're new parents. We have no clue what's going on. This thing shuts off, and we're scrambling. It was like, what do we do, right? And I'm kind of fidgeting with this thing. Like, I don't want to turn the lights on. And the wife is like, you need to fix this. And I don't know about you guys, but like, when your wife says fix it, it's like, oh shit, okay, like,
I mean, during the early baby months, yes, she is
Yeah,
the
yeah,
yeah.
queen of
like,
everything.
My
yes,
my wife has demanded I fix things before, but I don't think it's ever been invent something out of thin air. It's never been that far. So I feel like you definitely got it worse than me for sure.
well, it was, and in that, the machine that I was trying to fix was, it took double A batteries. You had to use a screwdriver to open it up. And again, in a rental house, I didn't know if there was a screwdriver around. I
Mhm.
had no idea if I had double A batteries. I wouldn't call it an argument, but in that debacle, right? It was like, I could totally do something better than this. She was like, fine, then do it. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Okay. And I think that we all have stuff like that in our lives, right? Whether it's, you go to a restaurant, you're like, God, I could have done better than that. Like, why am I here? Or, you get a product and you're like, this is crap. Like, who made this? I could totally do better than this, right? Not knowing what the actual process would be to do
Mhm.
this. And, I've got an art background. I've always just been a doodler. And for some reason, this stuck in my head, right? And I think the hard thing, you know, we looked at all the, like, people are buying $2,000 strollers. They're buying, really expensive diaper bags. And then I've got this $35 piece of plastic crap that's supposed to, like, go with me everywhere and help put my kid to sleep so that, my wife and I can have some time, and it was just like, God, like, there seems like a pretty big gap in the market. And so, a bunch of doodles later, and I've got a good friend that I actually met in the motorcycle. So it's amazing.
Hmm.
Motorcycle, have introduced me, at least, and I think a lot of people I've met to some wonderful people. Um, so if you haven't seen, we did a TV show with our racing school called Rick TV, to
Oh,
continue the moniker.
No kidding. That's good. See,
So
Rick's still out there, man. I
Rick's
think
still out there.
Lives
I
So
feel
on.
like Rick is a state of mind. I kind of
Yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have to actually have the name. It's just it's a state of mind you can live in.
100%. Yeah. So so I hosted all the shows, but
Nice.
the guy that I met doing that, who's become a really close friend, my Nick Wogan, was the guy that was filming all this. He was doing all of our social media, um all of our media in general. And come to find out that Nick is this, mechanical engineer and
Hmm.
coder and like does everything. So I basically said, Nick, like, would you want to come on board and let's see if we can bring this thing to life? Yeah, 2.5 years later, we have these little
Hey,
these little devices. So
that's
we've got,
awesome.
I know the people at home can't, but we've got a sage and a peach and
Small, like iPhone size thing with some nice decorations and colors and simple
yeah.
buttons.
So the cool thing, it's smaller than iPhone. It's a little
Yeah.
bit wider because we've got a speaker but we wanted to make this um, well, not only really cool, we wanted it to look fantastic, but we wanted to be really functional. So we made it's all silicone. So I don't know if you guys, home have babies, but they put everything in their mouth, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
and that adds the silicone adds a sense of durability. But we also have this really cool magnetic
Hmm.
strap on the back.
Nice.
So this thing attaches to everywhere. Mom's got the baby on one arm, they got the diaper bag. One hand, you can swipe this thing off and click it from place to place. So again, this was never something, especially after coming out of the motorcycle industry. I mean, I love extreme sports. I grew up doing a bunch of skiing and creating a product, let alone a baby product, was not something that
How far into the process did you get before you were like, yeah, I think this is actually going to be a thing? Like how much uncertainty was there at the beginning?
to be honest with you, not that much. I mean, and I don't know if that just the stoke level was high. I mean, the cool thing was that we were able to 3D print these
Hmm.
pretty quickly. So obviously, and you know, my partner Nick doing, I mean, he's like mixing silicone in his kitchen, and I was like, "Is that safe, man? You got kids there, like, just be
Yeah.
careful." Um, I mean, it was definitely a big learning experience. We had to go through, I don't know, 5 to 10 different redesigns.
Hmm.
Um, the strap mechanism on the back was something that we scratched our heads over. We because a lot of these products out there have this, I don't know if I this old school lanyard, right, where you
Hmm.
kind of like loop it through something and it hangs. And
Hmm.
um, so just I think every piece of the puzzle getting to where we are now was like this renewed excitement. It was like, oh, magnetic strap.
Hmm.
Yeah, all right, we got something now. Once we got to the more technical, okay, like where do we manufacture this? How, like those steps to getting like, okay, our concept's great. How do we get this thing to market? Like, what do we actually do? Because again, like I rode motorcycles for a while. I was
Right.
a ski bum for like, this is something completely new to me. Um, so, in that same motorcycle, like always be learning, right? Like what can I learn today that is going to help us push this out? And that's
Hmm.
been one of the most fun things about it as well.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I want to ask you a question because I feel like with both like the racing school and with the Dreamer, when it comes to like motorcycles and then also when it comes to raising kids, there's kind of the old, what you might call the analog way where people just kind of do it with intuition and it's kind of an art form and people kind of have these beliefs. And I think in both cases, you're coming in with very data driven analytics and things that are kind of new and they might seem a little bit different based off of the data. In either the racing school or with the Dreamer, did you feel a lot of initial pushback based off the fact that, it's you're trying to crunch things into numbers and the science is there, but there might have been an old guard going, no, it's about feel, it's about touch. Is there a lot of pushback using data analytics now, or are people warming up to that more?
With the Dreamer, I think it's interesting, and one, thank you, Shane, for bringing that up. One of the cool things that we did with the Dreamer that we did not see on the market is we've incorporated frequencies into our soundscapes.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know if you guys have done like a sound bowl bath
Hmm.
or anything like that, but the two of the most common frequencies are 528 and 432. And the research for these is really just getting started, but there's, I mean, with, things like DNA repair, it's like very endless as to what this can do to help people not only calm, but fall asleep and stay asleep. The great thing is that the reviews we get from moms who are really, I need this to work for my kid. They see the results instantly.
Mm.
Wow.
I think the adults, it takes them a little bit longer to get used to the frequencies. But I think that it's something that, a lot of people are using in other like iPhone apps, or they're like with like the Calm app or something like that. But really in the baby realm, not many people are using that. And the cool thing is that they're now doing research where they're able to, and I haven't been in the room for this, so if I was to put my kid through this, but they're able to put kids in an MRI machine and actually measure brain activity to see how these frequencies ultimately positively affect what's going on for them in that sleep. And we're really excited about that. I mean, I think that's kind of the data-driven part where we really love that. It's almost like with sports now, right? Like, I'm not a data guy. I think for something like this, especially when sleep is so important for anybody, right? I mean, specifically children in their growth and development, getting good sleep is, I mean, there's really nothing better.
And if anybody wants to dig in a little deeper at home, the two frequencies talking about are 432 hertz. It's often referred to as the natural tuning frequency, said to align with the universe and bring a sense of harmony and balance. And the other one is 528 hertz, which is also known as the love frequency. It's famous for its soothing and healing properties, is what they are believed to do. I've heard some of those frequencies, and they do work. So I'm already know that your product's amazing, because they definitely give me a sense of calm whenever I encounter those on the apps.
But just to be clear, though, because I just want to make it clear, it's not just like a tone that you're hearing, right? It's not just like a boop, right? I mean, it's like you're incorporating that frequency into soundscapes or music or something like that, right? It's not just like listening to a dial tone for endless amounts of time, right?
No, correct. Yeah, no. So we have 8 sounds right now, but we're actually pushing out. The cool thing is that we're also app based, and the Dreamer is essentially a small computer. So we've got a solid state hard drive, a processor, and everything. So we can do updates and we can push new sounds. But right now we've got 2 lullabies. We have a rain, a pink noise, an ocean, a heartbeat, and then for our moms out there, we've got a couple different variations of shushing. So, which
do you have any idea which one's been the most popular?
I think people enjoy the first lullaby, and then it's, I think it's kind of a toss up between that kind of rain, pink noise, and ocean. And all these sounds we actually curated ourselves. So these weren't ones that we, bought or licensed. We started all these from scratch. Obviously, we kind of knew what we were looking for, but we wanted to really, as you said, Shane, like pair the sound with the frequency.
Right.
Again, we didn't want someone just listening to 432. I mean, I think I would have a hard time doing that.
Good for like 10 seconds.
I mean, and I think that's, like it depends on the setting. And one cool thing we're doing with this update that'll be out soon is that so right now the sounds and the frequencies are basically on meshed together. And what we're able to do is split those. And because of the way we built the Dreamer itself will actually be able to produce the frequencies itself while playing the track. So you can actually decrease or increase the intensity of the frequency, or take it off if you don't like it.
Nice.
There are some people that are like, no, I really want to hear that. I want that 432, man, running through my veins.
It's like a tuning fork. They want to just hear it, yeah.
And then there's some people who are like, I really enjoy it. I love it, but I kind of want it to be on the quieter side. So, I mean, between that and even, I don't know if you guys can see, but we've got these little stars on the device.
Yeah, and for the listeners out there, we will absolutely be posting pictures of this on our social media so that you can see it and then you can link to it. But yeah, there's like 4 stars on the device as well. Those are buttons as well, or are they?
So the buttons, we have 2 buttons. We try to make this as simple as possible because in the night you're like fumbling, and we wanted like big buttons, just like hit the button, it'll work.
Yeah.
But these stars actually, they twinkle. We have them on a random twinkling pattern. And in the app, you can actually raise or decrease the brightness or intensity of those. But they're a specific amber color. I don't have the exact name, but that amber color frequency has been shown to actually help produce melatonin and somewhat kind of deflect from any like blue light stuff that's going on. So again, like trying to be as data scientific driven for something that's just trying to help our kids stay asleep.
Yeah,
Make
exactly.
a bunch of well-rested geniuses out there is what you're gonna make.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of geniuses, Chase and I are impossibly smart, but pretending for a moment that we're very stupid. I want to go back to this, this golden ratio soundboard thing, because that sounds pretty neat. Can you kind of explain what that is and what, I mean, because it's one thing to just say it, but what makes it different? What makes it kind of unique?
Man, the cool thing about this, and again, I am not the science guy behind this, so I
Sure.
apologize. But the way in which it helps resonate sound and amplify sound, just makes it like instead of having, let's say, almost like more of a triangular sound port that just, air just goes out. It filters the air better, and it makes it sound better, quite frankly. I don't know if you remember those old Bose bedside tables with the little disc player.
Oh, yeah.
I was always like, my God, I can't believe how loud this thing is. That's because what they were using. Having an all-in-one device, you are, trying to be, okay, you can throw this in your back pocket. You can throw this in, a purse or a diaper bag pretty easily. You're going on a plane, just toss this in. We were limited on space. And so having that, being able to amplify our volume, our sounds was great. And not only that, it almost acts as somewhat of a buffer to our PCB board, our printed circuit board. So let's say you drop it in water, or a kid's going to spill something. We have an added layer of protection to our circuitry as well.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
Well, I can tell you the golden ratio of a cocktail is a full glass, and I'm looking at 3 empty glasses. So we're going to need to take a quick break while we make a refill, but we'll come back and we'll keep talking to Josh Bronfman. Stick with us.
Be right back.
Chase, I don't know about you, but it does feel like ever since COVID hit, we spend so much time in our homes, and our homes have kind of become our office, and it's been this kind of weird blend of professional and home. I find that occasionally it is difficult to become creative in the house. Sometimes you got to get out and you got to find a different space to kind of let that creativity fly. And we are excited to share with our listeners that if you are in the LA area, we have the solution for you. We are proudly sponsored by The Muse Rooms, which is a creative co-working space that is here. They have a Hollywood location and they have a Burbank location, 2 convenient locations for you, that is ready to serve all of your creative space needs. If you want to rent space for a day to work on that screenplay, or if you need to rent a conference room for a big meeting that you have with a team that doesn't meet regularly, The Muse Rooms has got you covered. It's a great space. It's a great owner. It's a great vibe too. It's just a really cool, you'll get points with the youngsters.
Oh, yeah.
Be cool for renting out.
It's the hip spot to be, indeed.
It definitely is. So give the Muse Rooms a check if you for all of your creative co-working space needs at the Muse MUSE rooms.com. And we're back with another drink with Josh Bronfman. So, Josh, I mean, you have done something that I think is truly one of the most impressive things that a person can do, which is you took an idea in your head and you manifested it and made it real. I don't want you to go super specific. I certainly don't want you to reveal any trade secrets, but I am always so curious to just, can you walk us through the major phases, the major steps of, your wife saying you got to fix this, and then you really, from that moment, determining I can do this, I can make this. How did it go from that idea or that determination to you're holding it in your hand, you can buy it online, people are using it? I mean, what are those major steps? I'm always blown away by people who do what you did.
I think one of the initial brainstorming ideas, I think for any product or anybody trying to do something new, because we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel. Like we're creating a sound machine, but what are the big things we want this to do? What are our have tos? So we had to establish those, and what did we want? So not only the functionality, but again, I didn't know what a printed circuit board was before we started this, right? I mean, like, I have friends with PCB this, like, okay, well, hold on. Like, so I think it was what we wanted to do. And then, okay, this is new for me. I need to start doing a lot of learning. I think those are the first 2 things. And like I said, I mean, we probably printed out over 1,000 different models of this from a 3D printer. And then we,
Wow,
I think
1,000 models? That's
Yeah.
amazing.
yeah, so we started with one that was about double the size and had like a little clip on the side, and I think one of the hard things was I had mentioned our partner Nick. Nick lives in Crested Butte, Colorado. So we did this all. I mean, it was like daily FaceTimes, Zooms, calls for about 2 years. But about a year in, Nick came to our house in Phoenix, and he's, it was so hard. Like he was like, "Here it is. Here's the Dreamer." And my wife and I both got it, and it was like, "It's too big."
Oh no.
And you
Oh
could just
no.
see him go, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
So I think that, like as a third step, like really being able to understand like what is it that you want your customers to feel, right?
Mm.
Like if we felt that it was too big or was this or that, like what's everyone else going to do? Um, and the cool thing was we were able to test a lot of these things. And I think in business, what we found out too is that relationships matter almost more than anything. So we've been really lucky to, like, our manufacturer was a friend. A friend of Nick's makes wireless tattoo guns with our friend George in China.
Mm.
And so we got in with George. George lives in Rancho Cucamonga, actually.
Nice. There you go.
Uh,
Another local guy.
The
yeah,
best named
local
town in the
guy.
planet.
I know, right? And so I think trying, especially I think for myself and trying to again embody that always be learning. It's like, how tell me what I need to know. Like, please help educate me as to the next steps. Um, so being able to get with this manufacturer, we flew over to China kind of to figure out what was going
Mm.
on, how was our product being done. And I think even, the launch has been not a negative way, but has been probably harder than actually making the product, right? Like getting people to see the product. So we launched on January 28th.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're very green. And for those of you who can't see, I've got the Dreamer
You've got
logistics
the stockpile back there. I see it.
behind
Yeah.
me. Um,
Put a lot of people to sleep.
we're trying. Yeah, if I had all these going, I'd probably sleep for a long time. But I think trying to figure out all of our strengths, right? I think that was kind of one of the biggest things was, okay, where can each of us go within the company to make us the most successful. And so again, like Nick has just been like head down on the coding, the app, making the interface and the user experience really great. Um, and for me, trying to, put this out and talk to people like you guys and try and share, all the work we've done to get out there. But I think the biggest thing, Shane, I think is belief, right? I,
Mm.
I think that ultimately, as I said before, we have these moments that it's like I could go do this, and it's like, nah, that was that other guy on Shark Tank, and God, they did this, but that's not me. And all of a sudden, it's like, no, I think that belief, I can do this, and um, every step of the way, um, having to re-believe that, right? When
Mm.
we come up
Right.
with a problem, when we come up with an oh shit, right? I mean, we've had, for example, we had an issue getting some certifications, not because of anything we did wrong, but just like from a straight up objective technical, like this body needs this, we have this, but somehow it's not translating.
Mm.
And it was
Hang,
really,
hang on a minute. You're telling me that getting regulatory approval from various government bodies is not simple? Oh,
Yeah, what?
I'm just shocked and appalled to hear. Yeah, yeah. I was going to say, I would imagine that would be, I mean, once you get the prototype, that's like, I mean, that's the next step. And it's like, that's got
Especially
to be
something
like,
for children. Yeah.
that's why you don't have long hair anymore because you pulled it all out getting through all those regulatory
oh
hurdles,
well,
right?
yeah, don't. My wife already knows I'm losing enough hair
Yeah.
from this. Yeah, and I think those are a lot of the unknowns, especially for a company like us, for a group of people that have never been in this. Like, okay, what do we need to get? Like, getting Bluetooth certification, getting all of our safety, CE, everything we need to be legal to sell were things that were like, okay, I need help doing this. Can you please help facilitate this, or at least teach me what I need to do to make this come to life? So, um, yeah, I think the pursuit of this is it's hard, and it's I think creating a new company is this has been, like I said, 3 years in the making.
Yeah.
So for those 3 years, it's this excitement. It's, you're riding the waves of, oh, we found this speed bump. Okay, well, how do we fix that? Oh, that's going to put us back 3 months. Okay, well, how can we turn this into a positive? Like, what other things can we do in this time period to make the best use of our time, the best use of our resources? Um, yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah. And I'd like to ask anybody that's created a thing this whenever I encounter them in the world, what was the most surprising thing you learned about yourself during this whole process?
I think blanketly is that I could do this.
Hmm.
Um, and again, that doesn't take away. I mean, like I couldn't do this without the people we have around us, but it's a very different thing to navigate than taking a motorcycle around a track, right? I mean,
Mhm.
this is, managing people, managing finances, managing, how we get out to places, who we get out to. Um, and so I think that, there's a lot of times where it's like, man, I don't know if I can do this. Like
Hmm.
this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. But waking up the next morning or, kind of those, there are nights where the dreamer did not help me sleep because I was thinking
Right.
so much about the dreamer. But I think turning all of these things all these speed bumps into positives, right? And I think that that's, I can't remember if it was Chase or Shane, but it's the manifestation of we're going to do this,
Mhm.
right? Like we believe in this. There are certain things that are going to be really hard, but I think the fact that we really believe in the product, and I think that the cool thing is that we're a 100% family
Mhm.
owned and operated business. So again, Nick, I consider a brother. My family is a part of this. My wife has done a tremendous amount of work to help us navigate every step of the way. So it's just been a really cool experience to actually say like, wow, and again, to have all these, I mean, we have like 3,000 dreamers that we're going to sell. And to be able to take it, like you said, from a very crude prototype to, oh my God, and I got to show you guys our packaging because we're pretty proud of
Oh,
this.
nice.
Oh,
That's
that's
pretty.
really cool.
So we've got this cool magnetic.
Oh, awesome. It's
So
like a like hand illustration looking stuff. It looks really pretty.
yeah, we tried to, and this is not again bad mouthing anybody, but we wanted to be a little bit more bespoke than
Mm.
um the normal kid brand,
Hmm.
right? We wanted to kind of be that little. We're an upscale product, right? Like
Hmm.
that's just it is, call a spade a spade. I mean, we're trying to bring something that has science data. Again, like it's one of those things when you open the car door of a really nice car,
Hmm.
right? Or you close it and it's got soft closed doors, and you're like, ooh,
Hmm.
that's nice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like we wanted someone to pick this up and feel it and go, oh, that's really nice. Like
Hmm.
I like that. That's I think that like our senses have so much to do with our trust in things.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was from the box, from the labels, from our website, like everything we try to do was to create, this quality product. And I think that's the biggest takeaway. Like, holy shit, we did this. Like
Yeah.
we're
But
here.
did your wife say thanks for doing it after starting the whole process way back
Oh
when,
man.
demanding somebody go to sleep?
It was funny. Somebody else asked me, "Is your wife happy now?"
The question I have for you that people might not have asked is, once you had that first prototype, how amenable was she to letting you try it on the kids?
Mm.
Right before it was kind of, before it was kind of locked in, was she a little uncomfortable with maybe feeling like a science experiment, or was she like, look, we set this up together, so let's do it?
I got to say, she's been on board 100% the entire time.
Great, that's
There,
good. Yeah.
there, there has not been a time where my wife's name's Danielle, where
Mm.
Danielle has been like, "Ooh, yeah, nope, we're not doing that. Nope, sorry." No, she's been full on, and again, it's been great, but also like, we have test subjects, we have our kids, right?
Yeah.
Might as well use it. But we've got an almost 3-year-old, and um, the really cool thing for him is that again, this is not a complicated device, right? This isn't like an old, Nintendo where it's like you put 30 codes in to get,
Yeah. Yeah.
like he can operate this thing. And it's part of his bedtime routine now, where he
Hmm.
goes up and he turns this thing on, he puts it back, and he gets his own button to bed. And it's super cool because it's just he put like, and he's gone from like, oh, I like the lullaby. No, Dada, I want the ocean. Okay, like whatever you want, bud.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just become like the first lullaby. I'll send you guys some dreamers so you can sleep yourselves.
Ah, I actually
Yeah,
need one probably.
that would be
Yeah,
fantastic. I
that'd be
honestly,
great.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to get you guys.
I'll
But
share it.
our first lullaby, we kind of curated that when our daughter Charlotte was born. So we
Hmm.
kind of in our minds are like, it's Charlotte's lullaby, right? So we kind of have this innate like, heart aspect to the product where it's like it's such a part of our family and we believe in it so much that, I think, my wife has just been super supportive and super cool about the whole thing.
Hmm. That definitely comes across in everything that y'all are doing as far as the family element and the fact that and I've just looked at product pages and descriptions and all that stuff, but it does feel like you actually care about this thing. And I think that differentiates y'all a great deal from a lot of products in the world that are just like, we found this market niche and we're going to mine it till we get all the money we can out of it. Like you actually are intent on providing help for people to sleep, which is an incredibly important thing that nobody ever thinks about.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think, of course, like we made this product like we want to do well, we want to be
Yeah.
successful. Um, but one of the things we're also trying to do is we're trying to partnering with doctors. That's something we're actively doing and hospitals. Um, our goal is to try and get this into every hospital room that deals with little kids. Like
Mm.
that, like we would love to donate one to every because I mean, and we were in a situation where we had to bring our son into a hospital when he was young, and all you're hearing are heart rate monitors. You're
Hmm.
hearing pain. Like it's just not a very common experience, and let alone being there with like a small child.
Hmm.
Um, so again, like going back to that, the data backed stuff that we've done, like we hope that we can provide some of these things to families or kids that are not in the most comfortable situations, that are in, whether it's life threatening or stressful, whatever the gambit is, right? If we can provide a little bit of relief, some cool down, some anti-stress or anxiety, like that is huge for us, right? I mean, and again, the more our kids sleep, the more that, at least in our family, right, that my wife and I can spend time together. And it's not just like this high stress parenting environment, that we're better for our kids when we sleep better and when we're less stressed. And I think that's something that, you know, that's a huge goal for us now, right? Like we want to be the best versions of ourselves for our kids, and give them the best opportunity to grow as well.
That's why I am extremely confident the product has had the level of success that it has so far and will continue to grow, is because it does not see your intentions were entirely altruistic, right?
Hmm.
This was not made in some sort of capitalistic Ponzi scheme. This was parents in need, and you guys very clearly want to help everybody else, right? So that's why I know that the product will continue to get better, and it will continue to sell, because it's you're again, you saw a problem and you're trying to fix it. So that's really cool that you were able to kind of manifest that courage and that will to kind of get it out there and get it done, you know. I'm
That's
always
amazing
just
stuff.
blown away by people who do that. So kudos.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it like I said, this was not in the cards, or at least what I thought were in the cards.
Hmm.
Um, but it's been a very fun journey. Holy shit, I've learned a lot.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
where
That's
can
yeah.
people get the device? I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this, it sounds like you need it, whether you have kids or you don't. But where can people get it? Where's the best place, the easiest place for you to sell it to folks?
Yeah, so please check out sleepwithdreamer.com, and we sell direct to consumer from there. You are seeing our logistics and fulfillment center here. Yeah, we've got a ton of information on there. We've got a bunch of blog posts, talking about the frequencies and some of the things that we think separate us from others. Check us out on Instagram, again, Sleep with Dreamer. I'm I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on TikTok, but we're on TikTok as well. You know, it's I know that it's important, but it's just not necessarily in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I'm more on ESPN than anything else.
If you could do like motorcycle racing and design a sleep aid and do dances, that would be too much for one person. So let's just take the TikTok dancing down, and you know.
Hey, it might help my hand-eye coordination for motorcycle racing.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well,
That's
very
super cool. Do you have any rumblings for things you would like to create in the future? Or you're just all in on the Dreamer at the moment.
We're really focused on this Dreamer V1 right
Mhm.
now. You know, we have a V2 that we would like to have. We have some other products that we think we can attach onto this that'll really help and kind of enhance the overall experience
Mhm.
with parents and their children. You know, I think one of the cool things that, you know, you're talking about with like kids and parents using this, we actually just in like a test phase gave this out to a bunch of adults and specifically people who run like meditations, yoga classes. They're finding a lot of success in our tones, our soundscapes, as we call them, with the frequencies behind them. So I think trying to expand our scope a little bit. Yeah, you know, I think it's interesting. Like I kind of caught the little like, oh, let's invent things
Yeah.
bug, but try and do one step at a time. We have something that I, you know, especially with my motorcycle and skiing background, I've been injured a lot. So trying to get some like crutch accessories going out there.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm going to suggest a motorcycle for tall people.
I
think that's what you need to make.
For the 6'3" and up crowd. Yeah.
You know, it's funny, like getting on a bike and then even getting like leathers made, you know, like a lot of these are all based in Italy, and they look at my size and they go, this is not right. It's like, oh,
You got to do big and tall
this
bikes.
guy's really big. It's okay. Just get more leather.
Yeah,
It's
please, just one more cow, please. Yeah.
Big and tall bikes. I'll give you that one for free.
Big and tall bikes.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Well, as we kind of start to wind down here, we thought, I mean, talking to you, it seems very obvious that one of your passions in life seems to be assessing a situation, determining that something needs to be better, and going kind of full force into making that better. So we thought it would be fun to challenge you. We'll check back in with you in a couple of months. The old fashioned is a very classic kind of a standard cocktail, but we want to challenge you in a couple of months as we kind of wind towards the end of our season. We want to see if you can kind of maybe like challenge you to make the old fashioned a little bit better, whether that's just like an ingredient of like, oh guys, you got to put a raspberry in it, or maybe it's like a particular thing. But we have full faith that like in a couple of months, you'll be able to come up with a way to improve the classic standard old fashioned. What do you think? Can you accept the challenge?
I was also fortunate enough to go to cooking school. And one of the cool things we did was flavored syrups. And so one thing I do at home is I make a rosemary syrup for our coffee.
Nice. Okay.
That sounds interesting.
It is. I'll try and send you a jar of my homemade rosemary syrup.
All right.
But I think that an old fashioned would do really well with some rosemary syrup.
All right. Well, there you go. We're going to give that a try. That sounds delicious. See, look at that. You can't help yourself. You're already trying to make the old fashioned better.
The new fashioned old fashioned. We're going to call it.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Joshua. It's been an amazing talking to you and amazing learning about the Dreamer and learning about your past with the motorcycles and just this crazy space you're moving into, this crazy sleepy space, we'll call it that. And we're super excited for your launch. And we're happy that everything's going so well so far and that you took the time to speak with us. It's been really amazing.
Shane, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
And just to get it again for the record, sleepwithdreamer.com is the best place to go get the product. I want to make sure we hit that again. So again, Josh, thank you so much again for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to try the Dreamer. We can't wait to try the rosemary syrup, man. It's going to be good. So.
There you go.
Rosemary syrup sounds amazing. But thank you everybody for tuning in, for joining us at the start of for this season 3 of TwoDrinkMaximum. We're real excited to get it going and meet all our new guests this season.
Season 4, my friend. We've been doing this long in the year. Yeah.
I've already forgotten. But if you want to keep up with us, you can follow us on Instagram at TwoDrinkMaximum, TWODRINKMAXIMUM. It's very long and we'll never shorten it. So we just want everybody to always.
You're getting so much better at that now. It used to be a fun bit when you would screw up the spelling of that, but now it's like you've got it memorized. So now it's like not even a thing for you anymore. Yeah.
You just have to hear it as I speak it fast. It's like the whatever at the end of every radio commercial where they give you all the terms and conditions really quick.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can follow us there and tune in. We're going to attempt to do these weekly moving forward, so we'll see if that happens or not. But thank you for listening. It's been great having our guests and having you all along with this journey.
Cheers.
Cheers.